Welcome to Joy Fido International. This is the part of our business where we basically support you to, look at different ways of doing things. It's all about inspiring you into action. And this particular segment today is the Joy Fido Africa part of our business. We've done a few videos talking about Africa solely, and today is going to be just another of those videos focusing on Africa and Nigeria in particular. So my name is Joy Fido and welcome on board. So the Joy Fido Africa is about really helping you if you are a Nigerian in diaspora or an African in diaspora. It's about helping you back home safely. And this is something we have just decided to take on because like we've said in so many of our videos, I have been here for the past 23 years, 22, 23, and I've experienced so much. And based on the series of experiences I've been through, I just feel I need to share this with my fellow Africans. And I realized from being here, there's so much you take on, especially when you're back home and looking forward to living abroad. And so you take all of that on and then you come over and then reality becomes different from the dream. So it came to my spirit to start looking at how I can support people who, like me, have been through the system and are now beginning to have second thoughts and thinking, what if I take it back home? What if, now that I've experienced all this, what if I go back home and start all over again? So this is where this is all about. It's about helping people who are thinking in that line and seeing how they can easily get back into the system back home. So today's topic is about, I call it Nigeria Update 2016, and focusing on helping Nigerians in diaspora. So from looking at how I'm dressed, you can see I'm all dressed very African, which I happen to be a very, very proud African and a very, very proud Nigerian in particular. And we have, from the outfit I'm wearing, we've set up another section of our business called African Queen, which I love to call myself, and which I want every African out there to be proud of their roots. And so this is where this side of our business, the fashion side, is going to be focusing on the African fashion. But it's all about showing you that I don't just talk the talk, I walk the talk. So if I'm encouraging you to start thinking of how to, transcend back home gradually and beautifully without any hiccups, I've been there and I've done that. And this is what today's video is all about. So what I did say is an update on 2016. And why did I come out with that? I went home this year for 2 months. I'd done a previous video about this. And all my experiences while I was away is what I'm beginning to share with you in this segment of Joy Fido Africa. And so there's so much that I took my time to understand, to relate to experience, so that I can share with you. So questions I'm going to be asking you is, are you a Nigerian living in diaspora? Okay, if you are you happy with the way things are going? Are you beginning to have thoughts about, let me go home and start all over again? Are the dreams the reality that you're having right now? When I say the dreams, when we're home, like my opening statement was about, when you left home, are you still experiencing what you thought it was going to be? And if you are experiencing it, you're okay with it, you're happy with it, that's it, life is done, happy? Or it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be, and so you're beginning to have doubts and you're thinking, maybe I should go back home and there's something out there that I would like to go for. And so these are the things I want you to ponder about as we're going to go into this session. So I've been back now for about 3 weeks and still you know, downloading. You either say download or upload. You know, gradually releasing all the accumulated knowledge and experience that I took on while I was away. And why today I really decided I'm going to do this video, because I know I was going to do it, but you know, so many activities going on, I'm trying to get back to life, and so I haven't really had time to say I'm going to sit down and start doing the things I plan on doing. But something happened today. I went to church today and I met a friend of ours who's also Nigerian, and she said to me, so we're chatting, and I said, oh yeah, I've been away for so long, because she hadn't seen me. And first question was, so how is Nigeria? Are the problems still there? And I was in shock. What problems? So yes, this is the imagination lots of us Nigerians have right here, because I know that we do, reason being I live here too. And so why do we come up with this? There's so much in the news, so much in the mainstream media, and all the time you hear this news is always negative. There's a war going on here, there's a problem going on there, there's kidnapping, there's Boko Haram, there's, you know, there's always something not healthy going on. And why is this the case? I don't know. But if you're sitting down there and listening to this news going on and deciding for yourself, it is too scary, I don't want to go home, then you're missing out on a lot of things. Because I explained to her, which I'm explaining to you now, it is not what you have been made to imagine that is what reality is. Reality is people are living normal lives. Okay, there might be closed sections where these things are going on. It doesn't mean that this is happening all over the country. Everybody's living normal life. Things are going on as normal as you can imagine. And what makes me, you know, laugh and think about these things when I hear them is, even here in the West, everywhere else in the world, there's always something going on somewhere. I mean, for instance, America, the continuous shooting that happens in pockets of areas. If America was any other country in the world, nobody would have gone there again, because everybody would think the news we're hearing, this is especially on social media, every time you go on Facebook or Twitter or any of these areas, all you're getting is serious negative news, which is real. It's not like propaganda, like the case that we have in Nigeria about Africa. These are real issues. But it has not stopped people buying tickets and going on holiday in America or visiting America. So this is what I want people to start thinking about, especially us Nigerians. Do not sit here and listen to this propaganda going on in all this news media, and then you say to yourself, I don't want to go back home again, because that's not the reality. Okay, so on that vein of trying to explain that reality back there is different from what the media is telling us, my daughter brought a program to my attention, and the program is on Channel 4 here in the UK. It's called Lagos to London. And I was very curious. I spoke with a few people. They said, yes, I've watched the program. So I went and started watching it as well. And it's interesting, very interesting. I think you should go and watch it if you're Nigerian and you want to know what's going on. It's a brand new program. It wasn't released long ago. I think it was released this June. And it's all about how these extremely rich Nigerians are living the really, really jet lifestyle, they call it. Where this weekend they're in Lagos, and Monday they're back in London or New York, and they're traveling the world, and they're really having an absolutely good time. Now, why is this necessary? It's necessary because my reality about Nigeria in particular is, if you can work hard, we're gonna get to that. If you can work hard and make some money for yourself in the process of doing your work, you're gonna have a normal, healthy, happy life there. And this is one of the things I experienced. Just like everywhere else in the world, there are areas that are extremely poor and there are areas that are extremely rich. I mean, here in the UK, where we were living in London, I know areas like Peckham and some parts of Brixton and some parts of, Southwark. There's all kinds of things going on. Kingsland High Street, that for neighborhoods like that, they're not a place that you think you have so much money and when you want to go and live in that neighborhood. And so the same thing, I remember years ago when I visited Los Angeles, and we had downtown LA, and then you have all the Beverly Hill area and Hollywood. You're not going to connect the poor area exactly with the rich area. There's a divide in this world, and we know it. There are people who, I have nothing against extremely rich people. They worked for it, whichever way you want to look at it. And so if they work so hard and they've made their money, they decide to enjoy their money, so be it. And for people like me and you, if we want to get rich as well, it's for us to work hard as well. And I would not like a situation where, God help me, one day I become rich. Then it becomes a problem that, oh, there she is, she's rich, and so she's done something wrong. The only time rich becomes a problem is when you go stealing from people. And this is where lots of the issues we have in Africa, in Nigeria in particular, happens. Most of those people who have become real problem for the country go and take money off the national coffers. Like here in the UK, our biggest issue is that the taxpayers' money. So you pay your tax, and then somebody goes and takes all that money and keep them to themselves. But in Nigeria, it's about money that's coming from the source of income, oil wealth, and then a few hands goes and decide to take all the money away and leave the country in abject poverty. That's where it becomes a problem. But if you worked hard and you made money, you're going to find that living in anywhere in the world is not a problem. So please, this video is about you starting to think again. Think. Don't kill yourself in stress, as I know living some parts of this world is about. So you may not be thinking, okay, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to pack my things and start going home. But I'll take you through my experience. I was there for 2 months. And like I said in my previous video about Nigeria as well, I've been going home constantly over the years. But this was the first time I decided, let me really stay for a long period and see what I see. Now, why am I so interested in going home often? Because for me, home is home. Home is home because historically, I have my roots there. My parents were born and bred there, and their parents were born and bred. So I have every history that connects me back to where I come from, Nigeria. And so I'm a mother of children. And I don't want a situation where now I live here, established myself here, and then suddenly I give my children the impression that this is their home. It may be their home in another sense of it, but this is not home for me. Home is where I actually was born and bred and have roots in. And so, you know, like the story I always give, the story in the Bible where the Israelites left their country, went to Egypt, and suddenly it became a problem. I don't want that happening to generations to come. Because you may come here and establish yourself and feel good about yourself. But are you thinking about the future, about your children and your children's children and their children? And so it carries on. Is this it? Will they continuously be put in a position where they are reminded that this is not home and there's somewhere else for them to go to? So I decided to take on the experiment of seeing what it's going to be like for me to start all over again to get back to that system. Remember, being away for 22 years, it's not a short period. And so everything I knew is no longer what it was. Everything has changed. Life has moved on. And so I know there are lots of people like me who are living here, and I know people who've been here 30, 40 years and have never been home. So it's important you start looking at how do I slowly get back into the system. Now, why is it an issue? It's an issue because you've now established yourself in a completely different environment. So the things you used to know, like, you know, public transport and, you know, electricity, water, you know, the kind of housing, your children going to school, dealing with the government and dealing with the council, you know, regulations and rules and laws, all of these things are now different from what you knew. And so if you want to go back home and settle in again, you need to update your knowledge. about how things work there. So I call it experiment because I really needed to live all by myself, in the sense of I'm not relying on anyone to provide me with a car, or I go and get some special car and get special treatment and all of that. I did not want that. I wanted to really be in the deep end of things, so that I see myself living on a daily basis. Is this what it's going to be? And if that's the case, how am I dealing with this? Is this comfortable? Can I handle it? And so these were all very necessary for me. So what I did, yes, luckily I was able to travel to so many states. And this is why I'm saying to you that all the stories you hear saying there's so much trouble going on in Nigeria are not reality. Yes, things happen. Yes, you're not going to put yourself out there and stand out like a sore thumb and expect that nothing's going to happen. That won't be the case. And I tell you why this is the case. The reason all these security issues happen in Nigeria is because there's very little opportunities for the young people who've gone through all the education and are back home now with nothing to do as a job. There is a big issue of job opportunities. There are very few jobs there, very few. And then the jobs that are available, especially with the government and with the banks and all of that, with the government, people are barely paid. So you hear teachers not paid for 6 months and not paid for 1 year and all of that. And then people who work with with the bank is very few, because the banks are again being very picky who they choose, or with the oil companies, which there are issues. We all know there are issues with oil right now. And so they're actually laying off staff, some of them. So because there is lack, suddenly the natural tendency of human beings, because I remember there's a movie I watched, I can't remember the title of the movie, and it was like an experiment where this person was born with so much, and then suddenly they put him in a position where he had nothing, and then this person who had nothing was also put in a position where he had so much, and they wanted to see how they react depending on the situation they find themselves. And people were shocked that the one who was born with so much, when he was placed in a position with nothing, changed and started having criminal tendencies. So if you're put in that position, I'm not saying you are going to do that, but this is the generality we find in humans as we are. We're in a position where we don't have it all and the other person has so much. You naturally will be thinking, why does he have so much? What if I go and grab off him? And so that's what's going on. And it would be nice if we who live here, who have seen opportunities available, start thinking of how we can actually support this system by creating jobs. This is why I'm here now chatting with you about this experience. So when I went through the system, I traveled by public transport and took all the little buses, they call them keke buses or marua, whichever name they call them in different states. And then I took the regular buses, and then I took in Lagos, they had what they call the BRT, which is the state government bus. And so I was happy taking all of this, because I wanted to live like a regular Lagosian or a regular person on the street, so that I can feel the pain and know exactly what they're going through. And in instances, we stand on the queue for hours to wait for the bus. And when they do come, they'll be telling you you're going to have to stand up. And then if you're in the ordinary bus, you're being pushed. And, the buses are also broken. And buses that would normally not be in any fit state to ply on a regular road, say in the West, is plying there normally. So these are opportunities as far as I'm concerned. So it's for us to start thinking, what can we take home? What can we go and do there that will help us create opportunities for people to have jobs? Or that will help us transform our system and make it a better place that people will also be looking forward to coming there. Because all of us being here, there must have been a reason we chose to come here. And I know it's not because the weather is so nice, because Nigeria has amazing weather. Okay, you might say it's extremely hot sometimes, but there are countries in the world that wish they could have half the sunshine Nigeria has. And so it's not the weather, It's not the food, because trust me, the amount of food I saw in Nigeria, I was in awe. I mean, I was born there, but when you're there, you don't appreciate what you have until you've been out and back. So suddenly you're seeing it from another eye, which I've chatted with so many people, and they get so surprised and so shocked when I get excited about food that I see or see something and I go, this is amazing. And they go, but that is nothing, this is normal. So all these things exist. If you're looking at food, you know, like root crops, there's yam, there's cassava, there's cocoyam, there's, you know, there's sweet potato, there's potato. So there's so much. And you look at fruit crops, there's so much oil, there's so much. So every opportunity is there for me and you to go and start creating things. Okay, the big message here is we all have a lot to contribute. We all have a lot to contribute to our home. And I know from childhood, I've always been one of those people who felt that it is not entirely government's job to provide for everyone. Okay, so unfortunately for us in Nigeria, we don't have a welfare state like we have here in the UK, where if you're unemployed, the government supports you and give you what we call benefits, or in the US where you have people on social security, or I don't know what it's called, food stamps and things like that. And so if you're extremely poor, there's something you can, you know, bounce back on. In Nigeria, that's not the case. Or in Africa, I don't know of any other African country that offers that. But in Nigeria, for instance, when you don't have, you don't have. And so then you hear of people who go on dustbin pile and are, you know, picking food from the bin. I know those things exist. And so it's because we don't have a system where if you're unemployed, the government supports you. We have a system where if you don't have, you don't have. And so where we come in now as people who are exposed to the other parts of the world where we see things differently, is we come there and contribute to creating a better environment, a better community, a better society. And like I said earlier, it's about our generations unborn. What sort of future do we want our next generation to have, especially for those of us who live here? Because when we are here and we think everything is fantastic and, you know, looking okay, we're not thinking, what about tomorrow? We don't know. Nobody knows what tomorrow will bring. And apart from worrying about tomorrow, I know mine today right now. I've had instances where my children have gone looking for jobs and they can't find a job. And so if this is happening right now under my own I'm seeing it happening. What about tomorrow when I'm not here and they have no idea what part of the world they come from? So this is why it's so important for you and I to go home and start setting up something. So that worst case scenario, if they find that things are not as great as they thought it would be, they have somewhere else to go back to and start a new life or do something fresh. So I just feel it's our job to go there and start doing things. And like I said, the opportunities there are so much. The land is extremely green. It is waiting for bright ideas from you and I. And the great thing about us in particular, Nigerians, is we are extremely creative. When you watch that program, Lagos to London, there was quite an interesting man in that video that I really admired what he'd done. At the age of 21, he'd made so much money from just being creative. And he started from nothing. He lived in a council estate, had nothing. And suddenly, he used his brain and created amazing things, and now the results are pouring in. And he can't be called poor anymore because he lives in one of the best posh areas in the country. So he's now dreaming, how can he transport or take back some of this knowledge he has back to Nigeria? So that's the kind of thing we should be doing. We should be looking at how we can, all the knowledge we've acquired here, all the experience we've taken on, how can we take this experience and go back home and let it benefit our own people as well? Okay, so what it is like I've said, there is so much opportunities waiting for you and I back in Africa, back in Nigeria. I was there and I could just see everything as it was happening. I could just see them in slow motion, the opportunities we have. I know there are issues where you have electricity as a big problem. Sometimes water is an issue, and then again some of the roads are not that great. But so it is out there in so many parts of the world. It doesn't mean everyone has packed up and left town. I mean, you hear about there's this thing going on in Libya, people crossing over trying to get over to Europe. And yes, there are stories about Nigerians who are part of these people, which most times the boats capsize and everybody in there is dying off, and they're going through very, very serious, crazy conditions just to get over to Europe. I don't know if I should be in a position to say, don't take that risk, because it's not worth it. Now, I've in the past tried to advise people not to do it, and then people look at me like, you live in the West, why are you telling us don't come? You must be enjoying something you want to stop us from going to enjoy. And so now I don't do that. I don't say anything to anyone. You want to go experience it, why not? Please feel free and welcome to it. But I've experienced it, and I know that my decision now is to gradually look for a way to go back home. And that's why I visit home a lot. And that's why I put my eyes down to see the opportunities available. And that's why I'm here chatting with you in this video, to try and start encouraging you to start thinking. If things are not exactly how you thought it was going to be, this is the time for you to start looking at how to gradually go back home and start establishing yourself. Now, the opportunities that I talked about are, various areas like the fashion I'm wearing. This is a huge thing happening right now. The African fashion has taken the world by storm. Why? Because it's so colorful, it's so creative, it's so beautiful. I mean, look at what I'm wearing. I love it, and I know loads of people who love it. And this is just nothing compared to the amount of things you can do. The fabrics are there. It just comes down to what you can think and what you can do with it. And you see all these designer clothes and designer this and designer that. It's all about taking the fabric and being creative with it. That's how easy it can be. And so when you do that and you can market it, what's stopping you from being the next whatever the brand will be? So we need to go there and start creating brands. We need to go there and use the amount of food. There's so much food. And when I look at here and I see something like potatoes being turned into everything you can think of, then you look at Nigeria or Africa, and you look at yam, you look at potatoes as well, you look at cocoyam, you look at plantain. There's so much you can do with those things. What about tea? We have so much varieties that you can turn into tea. And again, there's going to be videos where I start showing you all the different options available. What about milk? Where there are nut milks that you don't need to go and buy, milk from cow or powder milk. When nature is so friendly to us in Africa, there's so much food, all that's waiting to happen. There's a passage I always like to talk about in the Bible. It says, go ye and multiply. When God said go ye and multiply, it wasn't referring to just go and have children. It was about going to multiply whatever He's created. Multiply means go and refine it, go and turn it around, go and make it look good, go and make it look attractive, go and make people want to have it. So that's where we are back home in Africa. We have not looked at the things we have in a way that we can make it look appealing and attractive and exciting for people to look at what they can do with it. Because we have it, and I know we have it, and that's why I'm making my business to look into these things. So what I'm saying to you is start thinking how you can come home and create something amazing that could also help employ people, so we can cut down on the security issues we have out there. Okay, so if I've been able to touch a nerve in your life, or inspire you to start thinking, we are available for discussions. We are available for you to chat with us, to consult with us, to ask questions, all the things that's been bothering you about. I know I want to go home, I know I want to do things, but I don't know where to start from. We are here for you. And why am I putting myself out there? Is because I've lived through what here offers. And I know how hard it was for me to start slowly getting back home. It took me a long time to get to where I am today. So these are some of the issues people struggle with. Where would I live when I do visit home? Yes, I understand that, because you may think you have relatives, but your relatives, I don't know about yours, but I know that out there you may think you have relatives, but when it really comes down to it, when you really come back home and say, could you support me, could you help me, I'm here now, I'm ready to take on this plunge, what will happen is something you cannot guarantee. And when you call me and you want to hear more about this part, please ask me, because I'm open to talk about these things. So sitting out here and depending on other people to create things for you is not the best option. I will highly advise you against that. So we are happy to support you on a business level, where you commit to yourself and say this is what you want to do, and we will commit ourselves to you to say we are going to help you achieve that. We can help you look at how to invest in property in Nigeria. So if you were looking at buying a home, or you were looking at buying land where you start building your home, we are available to advise you on that, because we have passed through that. We've been able to go there and buy land for ourselves, and we are working on creating a home for ourselves. So we are happy to share that experience with you and share that knowledge with you, so everything you're looking at can happen smoothly. Because we know how difficult it can be if you go there and rely on people that you know, and you're thinking your interest is their interest, like they really care about you and so they're going to stand there for you. No, that's not what you're going to actually experience. We are happy to support you and guide you and help you through all these processes, because we know the process is really long and difficult if you decide to take it all on your own. But if you decide to come to us and chat with us, we're happy to share our knowledge with you. But one of the things I'm going to say lastly, before I finish this video, is it's very important that we pray for our country. The reason I'm holding this paper is when I went to church today, it happens to be the 90th birthday of Queen Elizabeth in UK, and it's clearly written in the newsletter in church that every church should pray for her. And I found that really touching, because it shows that, in spite of everything going on, people still believe that we need God in our lives. We should pray for the Queen at 90. That is really important. That's really touching. So why can we not, the 170 million of us in Nigeria, pray for our country? When I pray that God should open my spiritual eyes at all times. And so it's very important that we pray that God should help our country come through what is going through right now. Because I know that most times when things happen, these things are not ordinary things. I believe so much in the spiritual realm of things. And so if things are happening in a way that is not healthy, that is in a way that is negative, that is not bringing you happiness or joy or peace, then something cynical is behind it all, or sinister. So it's very important that we hand over our country to God. Let Him help us transcend the very difficult times we're going through, because our country is extremely blessed. And I want you to know that our country is extremely blessed. So anything that's making us want to run away from it is not healthy. That thing is not in our favor. And so we're thinking we can run away from it and run into the arms of another country to treat us as if we are their own. It's not normal. That's not going to happen in a million years. So the only place we can call home is home. And so it's really important that we start looking at how we can make our own home. So thank you so much for watching this video, and we're going to put all our details in the description box. So if you've naturally being part of us on this channel, you will by now know our email details and all that, but we're going to put it in the description box below, and then we're going to put then you can follow us on Facebook as well. I have a page that I have just for the travels. I call it World Travels and Tours, and I have all the images and pictures of things I did while I was away in Nigeria. We're also coming up, okay, I have a page on African Queen that's going to be focusing on the fashion side of things, and we're going to create a page for the property, the land and all that. We already are working in team with other people who actually have access to the land, but all that detail will be put there. So if you are interested in any of these things, please feel free to contact us and we'll be here to help you. So we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Again, like I said, there's so much more I want to talk about Nigeria in particular and Africa in general. There's so much research that needs to be done for us to start appreciating the amazing, wonderful place that we all come from. See you in the next video.